being here. Um, Again, coming off a Friday night's game, having an extra day, we were able to use Sunday a little bit more effectively, a little bit more productive than usual. Had practice yesterday, and it seemed to go really, really well with the guys that we were missing for this past game. So we feel like we'll have those guys back. Alex Forsyth should be back at full strength. Was almost back last game, last second. We had to pull him because he wasn't quite ready. Mace Funa is a full go. Questions I had on DJ James. DJ James is also full go. I know he got a little bit dinged up during the game, but he is good. And I believe the other question I have was on Trey Benson. But Trey is healthy. Trey's ready to go, and he'll be in the rotation. So that being said, questions, please.
Or James Crapia from the Oregonian.
Mario, I realize if you guys had the answer to this, you'd be getting it. But how do you get the fourth quarter from Anthony, which has been almost off the charts? How do you get that performance on a more consistent basis over the course of a game?
Sure. Well, we got to get it from our entire team, really. It seems like when our backs are against the walls, when our best comes out, there was a lot of positive stuff in the fourth quarter. Certainly the completion percentage. Never really had many third downs, if any, in the third quarter. I'm not sure. I think it was just a first and second down type of game. So that's what we got to do. Certainly there's positives in the design quarterback runs. There's positives in the completion percentages. We have to work on being better on our third down game, particularly when it's certain medium to long. We have to get a little bit better in our RPO decision making. So there's some bright spots and some good play and some other areas to work on. And I think collectively as an offense, all of us improving at those things could make us a much better offense and a much more productive offense.
Eric Scopel, 247 Sports.
Coach, just the impressions of how the offense and I guess the communication from Joe Down worked and how he was in the booth. And is that the long-term plan for him to be up there? And I guess just impressions of having him back on Saturday or Friday, I should say.
Yeah, we're getting back in spurts last week and then towards the end of the week a little bit more as we have to balance it. We have to obviously have him, doing what he does and at the same time making sure that he continues to get healthier. What he went through is certainly something that's pretty trying and pretty taxing on the body. So that's what we're balancing. I know we don't disclose all that information. He is improving. He's improving daily, and him being in the box means that, of course, Coach Master, you probably saw him on the field. Coach McClendon as well. We do have our eyes for everything upstairs, the run game, the pass game, protections, line of scrimmage, special teams, defense, all that stuff. So it worked out well. We just exchanged direct communication with the quarterback, with Coach McClendon working with those guys.
Next, Torres, Ducks Digest.
Coach, I believe this was one of, if not the most consistent games we saw from the offensive line as far as personnel goes, not as many rotations as we've seen so far. Obviously, you'd like to have Alex there ideally, but are you envisioning, that consistency being something moving forward, or is that more what you just saw from Cal?
Well, a lot of that had to do with the fact that we had some guys that were injured and did not get back until the latter part of the week. Didn't feel they were as sharp as they needed to be to play. And those guys that we play up front, we play them when we feel they've earned that time and they could really help us win. And they know that, it's playing time earned, but we felt that Alex, again, we thought Alex would be ready to go come game time. He was not. And so we had to pull him, and credit to him because he really tried to tough it out. He has been. He looked great yesterday, so we expect him full speed. But both Dawson and Jackson were not able to join us till the latter part of the week and felt that they weren't at the level necessary to play winning football, and to protect them, to protect the integrity of what we're doing. That's why we went with 5 guys that had worked together. And if there's something, in the case of something would have happened, then those guys would have been plugged in.
Alvaro Torres, End Zoners.
Hi, Coach Cristobal. Are you listening with me well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Looking ahead at the rest of the schedule, would you say this is the most important game until the end of the regular season?
Well, we say that every single week, that the game that we're playing is the most important one because that's the one that we're playing. So that's not going to change. I mean, the opponents change week to week, but the goal and the way we approach it never does. So, and we recognize them and respect them because they are an excellent football team.
AJ Jacobson, Rivals.
Coach, looking at that UCLA team on offense, they kind of set up their pass with their run. They've got a strong running game. What are the challenges your defense is going to see on Saturday facing that UCLA Bruin team?
Well, they do a lot on offense, especially from a formational standpoint. You guys have seen it, the unbalanced sets, right? Tackle over sets, with the Y being the tackle on the short side. Formation sideline, right? Formation into the boundary. A pretty extensive quarterback run game. They do it all, your duo, your double, power, counter, inside zone, outside zone. You'll have your RPO game as well. There's, you have some of those sets where, 3 linemen go out to the hash, and you got to be ready for just about everything. But I think a lot of it gets lost in the fact that, to me, the most impressive thing they do is that they're really physical. They got a big, experienced offensive line. In fact, I was trying to count it up if I wasn't mistaken. Their front seven on the defense is completely senior laden. On the offense, a lot of redshirt juniors, a lot of 4th-year guys, a couple 5th-year guys. So you have an experienced, physically mature bunch, and they play that way. But the quarterback's an excellent player. The tight end's an excellent player. They have multiple wide receivers. When I say the tight end, I should include all of them, because they all can do the following. They can stretch the field, and they could also knock you back at the line of scrimmage. Very big. They own the C gaps really well. They could reach you. They could down block. Very interchangeable, and that's why you see them do a lot of the tackle over stuff. They can use the tight end as a tackle, but yet pose the threat of an eligible receiver. That's difficult to match up with. So they use tempo and varied formations. They don't go all the time, but they can, and they have shown it in spurts. So there's a lot to prepare for, and they have excellent players doing it. So again, a lot of respect for them. Looking for the opportunity.
Matt Preem, 247 Sports.
I think we saw quite a bit of Jeffrey Bossa in that game against Cal. Just your feelings of how he performed, and what did you like him in his game to play so much, over previous games?
You're in it during the week. It's as simple as that. I mean, again, he was very unselfish in helping us in that transition. Losing those 3 linebackers really just depleted our depth. And Jeffrey, we had asked him, hey, can you do this? And he had to learn a whole new position. And throughout the course of the week, he earned the opportunity to start that game. It's as simple as that. And he's getting better and better. And I think I like seeing him and Nate and Keith pushing each other. We interchange those guys, and a guy like Micah Roth as well. I mean, we have to continue to get guys opportunities to play. It's as simple as he earned that opportunity. He had some really bright moments and some other ones that he'd like to have back. He's a hard worker. We expect him to get better. We expect Keith to get better, and Nate as well.
Julian Minnesota, KZI.
Mario, this is the first time you guys are back at the Rose Bowl since you guys won that 2020 Rose Bowl game. Is it hard to go back there and not think about the historic nature of the venue and what you guys accomplished there over a year ago?
Well, I mean, you can think about it for a moment. I think it's easy not to focus on that. I think when you walk into a place, it's hard not to for memories to be stirred up. You just have to make sure. Well, a couple things. Let me add to that is that a lot of the guys that were on that team are no longer with us. Right. I mean, we're a very young team. And in fact, I think on paper, we might be the youngest team in America. So I think a lot of those guys might have seen it on TV. It's one of the best places you can ever imagine playing or watching a football game. So, great moments there. Tremendous opportunity to be there on Saturday. So I think the focus will be completely poured into, what's at hand and being where our feet are.
James.
You've always spoken highly of Travis, Mario, and going back and looking at the film even of his performance, which statistically was his best of his career. Anything else stand out from the 39-yard screen pass, the staying upright on a couple of runs for extra yards, chip blocks even to help out George a couple of times, I think. Basically, did he do anything that you either hadn't seen or were even surprised by or pleasantly surprised by in reviewing film, because that looked like one of his best all-around performances?
He just kept coming, he just kept coming, did whatever was asked of him, did it at a high level, making guys miss and breaking tackles. He just kept churning those feet, driving those knees, and was able to get a lot of extra yardage. And I think that gets lost a lot of times when you watch a football game and you say, okay, it was 2nd and 4, but it really should have been 2nd and 8. He found a way to drive through, put another foot in the ground, plant a hand, and lunge forward for 4 more yards. he does all those things so well. What is not seen on camera is what he does on the sidelines and in the locker room to generate positivity, impacting his teammates and generating energy on the sidelines. The guy is he's a special guy. Obviously, that family has been with us for a long time, and it's been his turn, but now it's like really he's the focal point in this particular turn in his career, and he has continues to exceed expectations.
Eric.
Coach, I think in real time, it felt like what Kayvon did in the second half was really special. Having had a chance now to review it, I wonder if you can kind of put in words what you saw from him and just how that impacted the defense as a whole in the second half.
Well, it's explosive power, and I think it's going to be really exciting to watch him play this week when he's knocked off more of the rust and is getting back into form. But what you saw is just elite level foot, body quickness, and power. The way that he affected the game, affected the quarterback, certainly was a game changer for us. In this conference, if you can't get to the quarterback in the fourth quarter, you're going to have problems. Okay, because a lot of these games, I guess around the entire country, these conference games, they come down to the last couple of minutes and people are throwing the ball, and you've got good quarterbacks, you've got good passing teams, good offensive lines. Kayvon certainly just he changed it. And if you watch, I think you'd really appreciate the technical side of it. Besides that first step, besides that explosiveness, if you could just take the time to watch the technical and the fundamentals, the fundamental part that went behind how he affected the game, I think you'd really appreciate the work that he's invested in being a better player.
Max.
Coach, earlier you mentioned you have a lot of respect for Dorian Thompson-Robinson at UCLA. You guys didn't get to face him last year, had Chase Griffin in that crazy matchup. With him looming this week, that adds a different dynamic. Just kind of asking for some early thoughts from you on him and maybe evaluating him.
Sure. Well, he does it all well. He really does. I don't think he's limited in any respect. In fact, he's a guy that can hurt you with explosive plays in every possible facet of the game, right? Design runs, read runs, the RPO game, busted plays where he could take off, and then he can make every throw. Really strong arm, really accurate, throws a deep ball really well. And he's in sync with his receivers and his tight ends. Okay. Play design is always going to be right. Something that you want to match up, and you want to match up correctly, at least to the best advantage that you possibly can, because he finds him. I mean, you watch him, the way his eyes are trained, you watch a guy over the years just continually get better and better and better. Excellent player, and about as dangerous of a player as you'll find in the country.
AJ.
Coach, Camden Lewis has had an outstanding season. What has he done to put himself in a position to perform like he is?
Well, you remember at this time last year what these press conferences were like about the kicking game, and it takes a ton of, it's football, man. It's the lessons that come and go with football, and the way that it provides moments for guys to have a breakthrough and not in any way, shape, or form have a breakdown. Cam deserves a ton of credit, and not only because he's kicking the ball out of the end zone consistently and he's obviously hitting all his field goals. It's because he endured, he weathered the storm, and all he did was he poured into his craft. He just got lost in his craft. While all the noise was continuing to grow around him, he got lost in it and came out on the other side kicking butt. So really proud of him, and he'll tell you himself there's still more room for improvement. So we're looking forward to that.
Heather Dinich, ESPN.com.
I was just wondering, what's your gut feeling about where you guys are? You've been so banged up. It's hard as somebody who's not with the team every day to kind of figure out exactly how good you feel about the team right now and how strong you are, knowing so many players have been injured and have gone through some adversity. Just where do you feel these guys are?
Well, it's been a challenging year in terms of that, probably more so than any organization I've been a part of. So I feel, we're always hungry. We're always driven. We don't get frustrated or whatnot. You just mixing pieces on a consistent basis. So I don't know if that's, an oxymoron, but mixing pieces on a consistent basis, you're not getting the consistency of guys playing side by side with each other. But you have to. and we have to get them there as coaches. That's the bottom line. There's no magical portal. There's no extra help is going to fall out of the sky, and we recognize that. So, and we've had moments where it's worked out really well, and other ones where it's like, whoa, that doesn't look like us, and we understand that. So, kind of like we're just referring to Cam, we pour ourselves and get lost in the work of trying to find ways to put it all together, so we can achieve the type of productivity that we had in moments early in the year, and sometimes throughout the course of the last 4 and 5 games. So. But that being said, I feel that, getting Mace Funa back is certainly a big boost. Getting Kayvon back is certainly a tremendous boost, because now, and then Braden Swinson, he was out as well. So you're looking at, then Trevin was banged up and in and out for a while. So you're too deep at the edge position, and 3 or 4 too deep inside linebackers were missing a significant amount of time. And I feel like at least in a good amount of those positions, we're starting to get more consistency. Losing Bennett really hurt, but Jamal's back and he's playing really well. Great play from Barone. Steve is stepping up. Brian Addison's a guy we expect to come and do some really good things for us in the coming week. So I feel like we got a lot of momentum in terms of the roster getting healthy going into this game. So we're excited yesterday's practice. We're excited for practice tomorrow.
Tony Siracusa, last word on college football. Tony, you're muted.
There you go. Sorry, Coach. I know you talked about Dorian Thompson-Robinson's ability to run, but what are your thoughts on UCLA's running backs, where they go too deep with Britton Brown and with Zach Charbonnet? What have you seen from them and their ability after they put up about 260 yards against Washington the other day?
Yeah, they're the most physical runners that we have seen. They run behind their pads, big, powerful leg drive. You saw it early in the season against LSU. That's when people really started to take notice. Well, we had known that, been coming on for a while. So just really, really impressive. You've got to get your defenders to the ball carriers, because they typically don't go down on first contact. They're much an operation of contact plus 2 plus 3 yards.
Time for 2 more. Matt.
Is there any correlation when Kayvon's available to play and Swinson's now healthy that your corners and your DBs are able to press and play a little tighter coverage? It seemed like in the second half against Cal, you guys were much more aggressive or closer to the line of scrimmage than previous games.
And some calls they are, Matt, and some calls they are. And sometimes on pressure, some of these pressures require a cushion. Some of them don't. Down distance plays into it. Sometimes being on point assignment wise shows, and sometimes playing off and outside when you're not supposed to shows up too. So we've been having a mixed bag of results there in terms of what you've seen, in terms of both cushion, leverage, aggressiveness and whatnot. But I think our guys are gaining more confidence in covering. They certainly do a good job at practice. I've had some moments, and we're certainly we've made that a focal point for us in terms of improving, because we got to get better at it.
Last question, James.
At the midpoint of the season, Mario, just how do you evaluate, what have you seen from the receiving group beyond Johnny and Red in particular, just whether it's Dante and Troy and where they are in terms of their progress as freshmen getting into the rotation more, or some of the more experienced players, whether Chris or Micah, what have you, just to get more consistency on a week-to-week basis from that position? Sure,
and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for more consistency. I think it was good to see Devin pop in there last week and make some plays. That's certainly encouraging. Troy really came on strong in the spring and in camp and got banged up right before the season started. So he's starting to get back on track as well. Dante Flash, you saw him, when we played Stony Brook, and he's a guy that's certainly going to help us. I think our passing game took a little bit of a step this past week, and we got to do a really good job making sure that we are preparing our guys and scheming it up so that we can continue to improve. Those guys are good football players, and we want to see them have productive days that make our offense better.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Okay.
Good luck this weekend.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.